Welcome back to K-Ratio's Week in Preview. I'm Kyle Littner and I'm here today to provide actionable insight for the future, not recap the past. In this week's episode, conditions continue to improve across the country, but inside of that, the tale of two different types of participants at complete opposite ends of the spectrum is ultimately what's responsible for where rates currently sit. We'll tell you what that means for freight this week, but first let's take a look at where conditions currently stand. The National Outbound Tender Volume Index sits at the highest mark since April 6th, and 18% better than the lows on April 16th. The worst is indeed behind us, despite the fact that rates remain severely depressed. One quick glance at DAT's load board metrics explains why. Spot load posts are up 22% since last week, and while a drop from last month is to be expected, the shocking number is the 54% year-over-year decrease. Whatever loads are being run these days are going through the routing guide, and judging by national tender rejections sitting at just 3%, loads are rarely making it past the primary provider. While this is obviously great news for shippers, since their job is made entirely easier by staying out of the spot market altogether, it's not the best situation for carriers and brokers, but it might surprise some of you to hear which one of those fares worst in this environment. A look at contract rates in blue versus spot rates in orange clearly shows why. Brokers pocket the difference between these two rates. It's very literally their profit margin. While almost every brokerage would enjoy more spot business, the divergence between spot and contract rates allows many to operate on almost autopilot. The high-paying contract loads keep coming over, and getting them covered and covered cheaply remains a very easy task. Carriers obviously prefer contract business over spot, but often require spot market loads to get from one to the next. And this is one reason why we can see spot rates sit at such low levels for such long periods of time. Carriers are running on a blended average rate per mile with higher dedicated paying business. This gets ugly, however, for small fleets and owner-operators that don't have access to enterprise-level shippers paying these higher RPMs. And while I'll save the full breakdown of this dynamic for a later time, this is the main reason why we can see spot rates exist as low as they are. Judging by this chart depicting the number of for-hire fleets with less than 7 tractors growing to the highest number ever recorded, this doesn't seem to be a situation disappearing anytime soon. The barrier to entry is very small. Simply buy a truck. By the way, the price of a 5-year used one is the cheapest since 2010. And you're just a trip to the DMV away from hauling 40,000 pounds of who knows what from point A to point B. Not sure how to find a load or even how to get there? Well, there are dozens, if not hundreds of apps to find you a load and direct you all the way. What does this mean for freight this week? Well, carriers need to focus on their blended average rate per mile now more than ever. Remember, destination matters most. You have control over where you end up, so exercise that power. And like we told you last week, Chicago is still not a place to be, with year-over-year volumes actually down 2.5%, while national volumes are up 6%. Brokers, there's still no spot business to speak of, so focus all your efforts on covering your contract loads, and use the oversupply of trucks in certain markets like Chicago to your favor. Just because you paid a rate last week doesn't mean you should pay it again this week. Shippers, use this golden era of procurement to figure out a plan for the future. Have you begun to think about what you're going to do when cancellations and subsequently rates jump higher? Again, a big thank you to all that continue to submit questions to our open and ongoing Q&A. As long as you keep sending them, we promise to keep answering them. So leave them in the comments below, send them to info@k-ratio.com, or you can message me directly. And for more information on protecting your margins, our award-winning freight intelligence platform, or dynamic pricing, even in this environment, check us out at k-ratio.com. All of you, please stay safe, and thank you again for watching.